But this morning I had a little friend with me, my granddaughter, who just turned a year the other day. And she's the smartest thing in the world. You ask her how old she is, and she holds up one finger, and she just turned 1. My daughter said the other day that when they get on the elevator at their place, she knows to push the floor button that they're on. I'm like, come on, I got to see a video of that. Are you serious? Apparently, that's how smart she is. She just turned a year. She knows what button to push, go to what floor. Okay. She's in that stage where she's scared of most people, and particularly men. But she is not afraid of Grandpa. So last night I got off the air, and there she was. They'd made it from the airport, and she smiled and came right to me. Logan, no, not so much. He walked in this morning, and she started crying, but she'll warm up to him. But she came right to me this morning, and we sat in the living room or the breakfast nook, and I had my coffee, and she snuggled with her passy. And if you want to see the picture, it's on our Facebook page. Logan put it on our Facebook page. And now I'm not wearing a suit, okay? So don't be shocked, everybody. Just want to warn you up front. And so I'm snuggling with her, or she's getting snuggles, and we're looking at a video. She loves music. And my beloved studio dog, Dolly, is at my feet, as she normally always is. And you have to notice how she lays. I don't know how many of you guys have dogs, but my dog lays like a frog with her feet up behind her. That's her favorite relaxing position. She's laying there doing Overwatch, protecting us. So Logan put that out there on social media today for all of you. I don't do a lot of personal stuff, and I don't post on social media. My kids in the control room do all that. But I said, you know what? Put this one out there. I'm enjoying being a grandfather. Put this one out there. So you can go watch, you can look at it. You know, you're all wanting to know what is our social media pages, I guess. I don't know. Worldview Tube, I think, right, Logan, on Twitter? Worldview Tube on Twitter and Brandon House on Facebook. You can go check that out. But anyway, I never thought being a grandfather would be that big of a deal. I was like, yeah, whatever. But then when you become one, that's like someone turned a switch on, a light on, right? So there you go. So she was here last. When was she here last, Logan? Christmas? Yeah, so she's grown up a lot since then. Yep. My glasses come apart at I don't know if you guys have seen me on TV take my glasses apart. They come apart at the center with a magnet, and she remembers that. So she always immediately is trying to take my glasses apart. Her dad said to me last night, now I know why she's always grabbing my glasses up at the rim of my glasses and pulling on them. He said, I could not figure out why she was always doing that. I said, I could have told you that. That's been something she's done since she was very little. Smart little thing. So we're having fun with her. There you go. All right. What would we do without kids, grandkids, and dogs to keep everything in perspective, right? Okay, so I guess I should mention the cats, which, by the way, we won't put that picture out, but I did. At one point this morning, I had my granddaughter in my lap, and the cat jumped up there and wanted to snuggle. So I had a cat on one side and a granddaughter on the other, and the dog at my feet. So there you go. All right, joining me now is a man who I know has 2 cats of his own, and that would be Dr. Andy Woods. Dr. Woods, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Happy belated 4th of July.
Yeah, same to you, my friend. Like I said, I almost took off today because I just wanted to play grandpa, but I guess we have to keep going. So here we go. I've got a big birthday party. Big. Both sides of the family getting together tomorrow for the big 1-year birthday party. I guess the mom, my daughter, my granddaughter's mother, has picked a patriotic theme. So everything's going to be red, white, and blue. So I've been seeing that today. Let's go right to it. It's been a while since we've had you on. I don't know where you've been. I think you were busy speaking at conferences or something. And then we had the 4th of July and all in there and everything too. So yeah, we'll get right to it here. Let's see. What do we got first up today? You've sent me a long list of things. Here we go. Amy Coney Barrett torches Ketanji Brown Jackson's extreme opinion. Now you're a lawyer. You're a pastor and a lawyer. Tell me about this one.
Well, it's the month of June where all these Supreme Court cases get rolled out because their term is ending. And so I guess we're finished with their term until they reconvene. What is it, in the fall? But to my mind, some really optimistic things happened. I mean, one of them is this case here, basically dealing with these nationwide injunctions. I realize that since that decision, there have been some rogue, district courts that have still not wanted to comply. But to me, this is huge. I mean, this is not a ruling on the birthright citizenship in the 14th Amendment issue. This is just a ruling that, we're not just going to, well, let's put it this way. If we're going to have nationwide injunctions from unelected, anonymous federal judges that no one has even heard of, who aren't elected by the people at all, most of whom have conflicting interests, it's been discovered, then that's just not acceptable. And of all people to come to the defense of the Constitution, it's Amy Coney Barrett, which most of us...
You know that you're way off the reservation when Amy Coney Barrett starts criticizing you.
Yeah, I mean, most of us had given up on her. She was a waste of a vote. And all of a sudden, she put her game face on and suited up, got down in defensive posture, and came up with a tremendous ruling. And in the process, she just torched, as the article says, Ketanji Brown Jackson as being an activist, not a legal scholar. So Ketanji Brown Jackson, was arguing for an imperial judiciary, trying to put the handcuffs on the Trump administration about everything, really, deportations, I mean, you name it. And here comes Amy Coney Barrett in a 6-3 decision. She writes the majority opinion, and she just tells Brown Jackson, you don't even know what you're talking about. And so she just, in the process, not only vindicated the separation of powers doctrine, but exposed one of her, colleagues as someone who was an activist but doesn't have the wherewithal to be on the Supreme Court as a legal scholar. So it was just beautiful. It was out of nowhere, didn't expect it, and there it is.
And there it is. All right, let's go to this one. Faith Group provides tools for parents to opt out of LGBTQ curriculum after Supreme Court ruling. That's good news, obviously.
That's another biggie because it dealt with one of these, I call them a Gestapo school district in Maryland, where, they wanted to do all this in the public school, this LGBTQ, stuff. And then so many parents complained that they created an opt-out option where you could opt your kids out. And they didn't realize that the whole population would opt out. So it basically destroyed the program. So what does this Gestapo school district come back and do? They say, well, we're going to take away the opt-out option. So your kids are stuck in LGBTQ stuff, mom and dad, whether you like it or not. And here comes the Supreme Court. I think this was a 6-3 decision saying, you know what, when you do that, you violate the religious rights, freedom of First Amendment rights, freedom of religion rights of the parents, because nothing is more totalitarian than taking your kids away from you, indoctrinating them in some, pagan view of sexuality or whatever, and then sending them back to you, at after grade 12, after God knows how many hours of indoctrination, saying, well, we just changed the value system of your kids. Thanks for the opportunity. I mean, nothing is more totalitarian than that. I mean, that's what Fidel Castro did when he took over in Cuba. He immediately got control of the educational system, among other things. So here comes our Supreme Court standing up for, I don't know, I don't even call this like a conservative victory. I just call it a return to normal. This is what normal looks like, okay? Parents have the right to instill whatever values they want in their children, and no school district has a right to coerce something different. And the Supreme Court came out doing the right thing. Another big decision.
Oh, man, we're on a roll here, Dr. Woods. Here's another one. Number 3. I guess the Supreme Court had what they call a hat trick in hockey, right? Supreme Court rules in Tennessee ban on trans surgeries for minors. This is in my state.
Yep.
We banned trans surgeries, and it's been held up at the Supreme Court. They're like, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, can you think of anything as more sane or normal than banning transsexual surgeries and movements within the schools and the government to tell kids, you're really not a girl, you're a boy, or vice versa. And we're going to cut off body parts at taxpayer expense to help you in that process. I mean, that's just insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And here your home state has returns to normal and says, this is stupid. We're not going to have this in our state. And of course, when this happens, the left, or I don't even know if I want to call them the left, these crazy people.
The lunatics.
The lunatic fringe, they go to the courts and they try to stop normal. And here the Supreme Court, third time in a row, these were all handed down almost the same day, if I remember right, stands up on the side of normal. So, people ask me, why do you bring up stuff like this in a prophecy update? Well, part of prophecy is understanding that before the man of lawlessness shows up, there's a restrainer on the earth holding him back.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at these as testimonies to that. I mean, yeah, we talk about the world stage being set up for the end time scenario constantly, but that's only part of the picture. I mean, God in his mercy puts handcuffs on things so they can't reach their level of evil that they could reach. I mean, as bad as things are, can you imagine what it's going to be like when the restraint is gone?
Exactly. Right.
So I think all these things are prophetically significant from that standpoint.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are. All right, hold right there, Dr. Woods. The computer is going to take it away from us. Dr. Woods' website is andywoodsministries.org, andywoodsministries.org. I did last night on television for about 20 minutes what I did on radio, guys. We're going to get that up online at worldviewtube.com real soon. My alignment with the people of Israel or the Jewish people is not political, it's not economic, it's not governmental, it's spiritual. I hope you'll go there when it's posted and send it everywhere.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. WorldviewTube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the WorldviewTube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the WorldviewTube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the WorldviewTube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview Tube.
Are they really saying
built into
something?
35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with Worldview Radio. Our website is worldviewradio.com. Worldviewradio.com. And are we getting some good comments on Grandpa's picture this morning with his granddaughter and dog? We're getting some good comments on Facebook about that? What's my Facebook page again? You just type in what? You just go to Facebook and type in Brand. The name is Brandon House. Oh, the URL is facebook.com/worldview weekend. Well, that's easy enough. Facebook.com/worldview weekend. All right, you can go over there and make a comment if you want. Dr. Woods joins us, andywoodsministries.org, andywoodsministries.org. As I said before the break, I did about 20 minutes maybe last night for TV, what I did on radio yesterday, because I just can't get that message out enough. Because Dr. Woods, I had a phone call from a friend of mine out of Washington, D.C. yesterday. Actually, same guy called me this morning. This guy, I can't give up my source, but this guy is connected. The stuff he tells me and what's going on. I'm like, wow. Which little hint, by the way, you notice Laura Loomer is all over social media today. Laura Loomer. And I think I introduced you to Laura Loomer, didn't I, Dr. Woods? We had a couple good conversations, the three of us, a couple times, didn't we?
Yeah, I like her. She does good stuff. I follow her also on X and
Well,
Facebook, and I learned stuff from her
She's
that
well
I don't
connected.
hear from anybody. I mean, anybody.
Yeah,
And
she's
so
well connected.
yeah.
Well, she's saying Pam Bondi is very damaging to President Trump's image. She drags the administration down, and the base doesn't want her as AG. She's harming Trump's administration, and she's embarrassing all of his staff and advisors by creating a PR crisis for them. It's incredibly unfair to President Trump and his team. I would just say that be looking, because she is putting that out there, I would venture to guess, this is my opinion. Well, it's not just my opinion. It's also something from inside baseball. I would say be looking for Pam Bondi to leave, and this is just a bone being thrown to the MAGA crowd to say, be patient. I think Pam Bondi is going to have to find some reason to go do something else. I mean, maybe the reality is she could put out, a lot of people put out, it's been a pleasure to serve the president, but I have to put my family first. I need to spend more time with my family. That's what most of them do, right? I don't know if she has a family. I have no idea. I don't even know if she's married. I don't know if she has children. I know nothing about her. But I guess if I were her, I would put out a statement saying it's been a pleasure to serve the president, but my full-time job is keeping me way too busy for this AG gig. So I'm going to give up this part-time job and concentrate on my full-time job, which is being a correspondent for Fox News. It's been a pleasure to serve the president. Find me at Fox News, because that's her full-time job, it seems like. So that's what she should put out. I'm just, instead of saying I'm going to go spend time with family, she could put out I got to go spend more time with Fox, and she'd go over and do that. But I would say that this is a bone being thrown to the MAGA world to hang in there. Pam is going to be departing the scene soon, because I also hear, Dr. Woods, today, lots of sources, that Kash Patel and Bongino are furious with Pam Bondi over this whole Epstein thing. So anyway, but let's hope that Benjamin Netanyahu giving the letter to President Trump about the Nobel Prize wasn't Benjamin Netanyahu getting together with a bunch of other guys around the country and the world saying, let's give him the Nobel Prize if he agrees to suppress the Epstein files. Let's hope that wasn't the trade-off. I don't know. But I would venture to guess Pam Bondi's days as AG are not probably going to be months, but maybe weeks. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm not as familiar with the intricacies of all of that. I'll just say this: the president needs people around him that are loyal to the president's agenda. And as a pastor of a church, I mean, I've gone through situations where I've had staff people that aren't loyal and just have they would just want to do their own thing. They don't want to follow the vision of the church. I'm just the pastor of a fairly small, it's not a mega church at all. And I see how staff disloyalty, is so disruptive. Now, fortunately, today I don't have that problem. Those people that had different agendas have moved on, to other pastures, which is fine. But there's nothing as frustrating as being in leadership as having people under you trying to undermine you. Mm-hmm. And I remember Reagan, back in the day, complaining about that constantly, that he would give some kind of executive order or directive, only to find it frustrated 3 or 4 levels below by some, nameless, faceless bureaucrat. Even his famous, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall line that's now historically very significant. I mean, that was the State Department, if I remember the story right, I think 3 or 4 times tried to remove that line from his speech there. What was it, in Germany, Berlin, somewhere like that? So, gosh, if something's going on with Pam Bondi and she's not loyal to what the president wants to do, then it's time for her to, do something else. And let's get someone in there that, is going to be loyal to what the president wants, because nobody voted for Pam Bondi or any of these other people.
No, that's right.
I mean, it's Donald Trump that won the electoral landslide. We want his agenda, America First agenda. Now, I don't know all the specifics. I've been in Tampa, Florida, where the people there speak very highly of Pam Bondi. So I've got people in my ear thinking she's great. You've got other people that think she's not. And I'm not really in a position to, weigh into that. But I'm just want to make a general comment about loyalty. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people are upset that this doctor is on trial who gave out COVID cards and gave kids saline solution shots at the request of their parents. And he's on trial. And the word out is she is the one continuing that started under the Biden regime, but she's continuing it. Then there's rumors swirling that she's tied in some way back to some organization or group that's tied to the pharmaceutical industry. So I don't know. There's a lot going on out there. But all I know is the polling right now, Mark Mitchell, who is with Rasmussen, he and I were texting back and forth this morning. He'll be back on the broadcast with me next week. He's a keynote speaker, by the way, along with Dr. Woods at our upcoming 22nd annual Worldview Weekend Conference, October 3rd and 4th. It's a Friday night and a Saturday with Gordon Chang, Sidney Powell, Alex Newman, Dr. Woods, Hadia, Dr. Lana, Chris Martinson, and Mark Mitchell. And Mark and I were, you can get full details at worldviewstore.com. We only have 350 seats, by the way. Beautiful theater in our town here in Collierville, owned by the town. There's only 350 seats. We slashed the prices because we were able to save a lot of money by moving away from the resort we were at, which was beautiful, but it was costly. And we're in our town theater, which they're I've been here 21 years, and they're very accommodating. My town has my police department, my police chief. They've all been very accommodating to us and our organization based here over the years with threats and there's actually not too long ago, the chief of police was taking one of the threats. He was more exercised about it than I was. I was like, yeah, well, we're kind of immune to this. We just added to the pile. He wasn't. He was like being exercised. I'm like, yeah, well, you get 25 or 30 of these a year, you'll get immune to them real quick. But I live in a great town, all that to say. And they are very aware we're coming to town, and we'll have plenty of security. And our great police department is going to be helping with that as well. So I hope you'll come join us October 3rd and 4th here in Collierville, upscale, nice community outside of Memphis. The key word here is outside of Memphis. But worldviewstore.com, you're laughing, Dr. Woods is laughing, worldviewstore.com. But I was texting with Mark Rasmussen, and he's looking at polling, and he's going to come on my broadcast next week because he told me that by next week, he will have new polling on amnesty, the idea of giving amnesty to farm workers or to hotel people, illegals. New polling on amnesty and Epstein. So we'll see where that goes. But sounds like from communicating with him today, current polling right now for the Democrats is very good right now for them to take the House of Representatives at the midterm, which again was a lot of us was worried about, which is why we got to get past these distractions of Epstein or Pam Bondi and Epstein and get to the bottom of this and move on with the domestic agenda, because we don't want to be covering for pedophiles. We don't want to know that our elected officials are controlled through their misbehavior and illegal activity and sexual perversion. We've got to deal with these and continue with the domestic problems of our country, fixing them. Or you can say goodbye to the House representatives and he will be impeached and he'll be a lame duck. And then who knows after that? Thoughts?
Well, I mean, you're right. There's a rare opportunity now to get some things done, with Republicans in control of most of our chambers. And so, I just hope and pray that enough can get done, because there is going to be a backlash. I mean, we'd be naive to say there isn't. I mean, Reagan, I remember, lost the Senate, did he not? Around, what was it, 1986, somewhere in there? Mm-hmm. So, you can have a very popular president, but the truth of the matter is the people that show up at these midterms are the crazies, the radicals.
They're really energized, right? And if the base isn't energized, they're not going to show up for either party. And now the other side is pretty energized. They're out in the street literally fighting the authorities. So I would say they're pretty committed to their agenda.
Yeah, that's why the off party, typically does well in the midterm. So, I mean, I hope and pray it's not going to be that way, because I just think it'd be sad for Trump to spend his final 2 years in office with all of his energy trying to defend himself rather than doing what he was elected to do. But, I mean, now's the time to get something done if we're going to get anything done. I realize that big, bold, beautiful bill and all that stuff had some problems in it, but it had a lot of good things in it.
It had a massive tax cut on trial. A massive tax cut. What's that, Logan? Why am I getting that in my ear? massive tax cut, which we needed. Otherwise, you think the country's teetering on a recession now, just raise everybody's taxes and you can just, oh my. All right, so Dr. Woods, by the way, again, you're a pastor and an attorney. It seems like an oxymoron to me. I don't know how one could be a pastor and an attorney. They seem totally contradictory to each other. I'm just kidding, all my attorney friends.
Well, I tell people I fell from law to grace.
Well, now we have a good ruling. I mean, we got a lot of great news today. All these 3 great decisions by the Supreme Court. And now let's go to another one. The Supreme Court, a fourth one. The Supreme Court ruled when it came to a case about churches and free speech. And now the IRS has been forced to say, yep, I guess churches can indeed, in the body of their congregation, talk about political issues, candidates, and the issues. We cannot restrict the pastor or the church leadership's free speech to talk about what they think are, for me, I'll use the word biblical worldview issues. I don't think the IRS used that word or the Supreme Court. But how can you tell me as a pastor I can't talk about biblical worldview issues if the worldview is that of a person running for office that's for same-sex marriage or abortion or infanticide or the transgenderism? That's a biblical worldview issue. Don't tell me I can't tell my congregation what I think about that. I have freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Well, finally, the Johnson Amendment, put in largely by, obviously, the man who's named after President Johnson, who is the head of the Senate, the IRS is now agreeing with the Supreme Court. And now, Pastor Woods, you as a pastor can speak to these issues. I want you to talk about that great victory when we come back. The question is, Dr. Woods, will many pastors take advantage of it? In other words, here is another opportunity, but will the so-called church in America not take advantage of this opportunity? Because they're not interested in biblical worldview, they're interested in nickels and noses, and you don't talk about these things. Remember the church up the road said, you can't hold your youth conference here. Now if you're gonna talk about controversial things like creation versus evolution, oh no.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
The green sheet. Green sheet.
All right, welcome back. I asked Logan, what's the feedback we're getting on Facebook? Facebook.com/worldviewweekend on the picture of me snuggling with my granddaughter. And Logan said, someone just said, there's something I never thought I would see. Brennan House in his undershirt. Logan, maybe we should take it down. I'm ruining my reputation. Every picture should be me in a suit and tie. Come on. Maybe we should redo the picture. All right, joining me now is Dr. Andy Woods. I think I'm going to have mugs printed too, Logan, that say Brennan House, Worldview Radio. Joining me now is, because I say that in my sleep, to be honest with you. But joining me now is Dr. Andy Woods again of andywoodsministries.org. Oh, the poll? Yeah, I guess Logan set up a poll over there at Facebook.com/WorldviewWeekend. Facebook.com/WorldviewWeekend. I'm Brandpaw, and I pretty much determined that one like before my granddaughter was born. I said, I'm going to be Brandpaw. And I even got a nice white terry cloth robe given to me by my daughter while she was expecting that had stitched in it in big blue, Brandpaw. So that's it. I picked it, my own, and I love it. I'm thinking about having stationery. I might even have a B and a P added to the handkerchief in my shirt for Brandpaw. everyone says, well, what is your wife? What is Melissa called? I like Mel Ma, Grandpa and Mel Ma. She hates that. She says, that's not happening. She wants to be known as May May. I'm like, I don't know even how to spell that one, but apparently it's M-A-E space M-A-E. So she wants to be known as May May. So anyway, apparently Logan's put up a poll at facebook.com/worldview weekend for people to vote. And I'm already getting text and family members are going for May May, but I don't want to push the poll and interrupt the poll and pollute the poll. So let the public decide, I guess. So there you go. The things we grandparents have to figure out, right? Or what? And that was the most common question when people found out I was going to be a grandfather. Well, what's this child going to call you to? So I knew right away. Melissa's had a much more difficult time yet. So you guys can help her decide. All right, Dr. Woods, the Johnson Amendment struck down. We have freedom of speech now from the pulpit. Biblical worldview. The question is, will the churches in America take advantage of it? Because the church up the road, I didn't go to very long because one of their guys got in the pulpit and started teaching that the rapture had already happened. I was like, I don't think most of the people sitting there, it's about 1,000 people in the room, I don't think most of them knew what he was teaching. I turned to my wife and I said, he was in Revelation chapter 21. I said, do you think most of them realize he's saying that the rapture, he's a partial preterist. He's an R.C. Sproul guy. He's saying that rapture has already occurred. I would venture to guess only maybe not even 10% in the auditorium knew what he was saying because they don't really care, most of them. They were only there to be seen because, man, when he said amen, they were halfway up the aisle on their way to the back door to make sure they could get to the Ponderosa for lunch. So I said to my wife, I don't think 90% of the people in here know what he's teaching right now. I said, he's teaching the rapture's already happened. This will be our last Sunday. But that same church was the one that said we wanted to rent our youth, the fellowship hall for our Contend Youth Conference. The guy said, the administrator of the church, do you have to speak on something so controversial? I thought it was going to be bringing in Sharam Hadian or Usama Dakdok on Islam. No, it was that we were going to teach on creation versus evolution. I thought he was joking. I laughed. I literally laughed. He didn't crack a smile. I said, are you being serious? And he said, yeah. And then I realized maybe it had something to do with the Tim Keller books in the lobby in Biologos. So I'm like, there you go. So I don't really think most churches are going to take advantage of this. I think yours will and some of the real churches and the real shepherds. But by and large, most churches aren't going to touch this because they don't care about biblical worldview. They care about nickels and noses. They're not about to touch this. Certainly if they're not going to touch creation versus evolution, Dr. Woods. Or Bible prophecy for that matter.
Yeah. Well, John Walvoord was asked, why do you talk about prophecy so much? Don't you know it divides people and it's controversial? He said, you know what? The whole Bible divides people and it's controversial.
Yes.
But, this issue with the IRS, first of all, I think we need to just get rid of the expression political issues because you just said it. These aren't political issues. These are Bible issues. You start talking about private property, abortion, capital punishment, euthanasia, whether your kids should be indoctrinated into secular humanism, etc. We're not dealing with political issues. These are Bible issues. And if a pastor can't address those biblically from the pulpit, then he's not being faithful to the full counsel of God's word. So this IRS decision to me is just it's not even a conservative victory. It's a return to normal because it's like, excuse me, has no one ever heard of the Black Robe Regiment? Have they never heard of all of the preachers in colonial America pre-IRS days? I have a published volume, multiple volumes of sermons from the colonial era. And if you ever think that I've had people complain about my sermons being too strong politically, I usually give them a copy of those books and say, take a look at these books and read these sermons, and you'll see that my stuff is pretty, mild in comparison. So to my mind, this is just a return to normal. And I hope pastors will take advantage of it. That whole Johnson Amendment, as you know, was started just to shut down Lyndon Baines Johnson's critics. Mm-hmm. So it was designed to muffle people. and to put a gag order on people by threatening them with their
Absolutely.
tax exempt status. And so that's the whole purpose of it. And so, praise God, we're back to normal. By the way, you don't think the Muslims are going to take advantage of this? You don't think the left wing church, I've been in some of these big liberal churches. They're breaking the Johnson Amendment constantly for the left.
Well, hasn't Al Sharpton and Justin been breaking it decades and decades?
Yeah, you went a little bit garbled on me. So can you hear?
Haven't Jesse Johnson and Al Sharpton been breaking that for decades?
Yeah, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, et cetera, et cetera. They've been breaking it for a long time. It's very selectively applied, to conservatives.
Yeah. By the way, Dr. Woods, you probably heard about my little IRS problem where we paid our payroll tax as an organization with a check because the IRS automated system was down for 2 days. So my accountant said overnight the check. We did, and they fined us $43,000 for paying by check versus paying on the system, even though the system was down. And we appealed it, and they sent us a letter saying we're abating it. And then 2 years later, they came back and said, we've changed our mind. We want our money plus interest. It was up to like $47,000 where it was. And we appealed it and they abated it again. And then in 2025, they came back to us and said, we want our money. And now it's over $49,000. And we appealed it, but we were told no. But keep appealing. So we had to pay it last week on July 3rd. And I don't know if you read the press release I sent on that or not. But my accountant she texted me yesterday. She said, I was just with 20 CPAs, 20 in a room. I told them about what's going on with you and asked them if they had ever seen in their career the IRS reverse an abatement letter, meaning don't worry about that penalty. We're not going to worry about it. Have you ever seen the IRS reverse an abatement letter? She said, of the 20 CPAs in the room, every one of them said, in our careers, we have never seen the IRS reverse an abatement letter. And they reversed 2 abatement letters with you, House. But I won't give away too much, but let me just say, God bless the Trump administration. We have heard from some people at very high levels that have gotten a hold of this. So we'll see what happens. They still got my money. God, I had to pay it to stop the clock from ticking. But apparently my press release at worldviewtube.com/IRS, worldviewtube.com/IRS, if you want to read about it, apparently it's gotten to some pretty high levels. So maybe between the IRS letting pastors speak and then this coming out that apparently we're targeting conservative broadcasters and religious broadcasters, maybe we're going to finally have some victories here. We'll see. But I wanted to give the audience an update. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, since you brought up the IRS, I might as well just pile on. I've always felt for a long time it's an unconstitutional organization. Indeed. Because the way it's supposed to work in America is you're innocent until proven guilty. You come under an IRS audit and it's the exact opposite. You're presumed guilty and you got to prove your innocence. And so I think the whole structure of the IRS needs to be rethought. I'm more of a guy that believes more in we ought to be taxing people on what they spend
100%.
Towards a consumption tax rather
100%
than
agree.
Income tax. But anyway.
Yep. Amen. All right. Netanyahu says he'll be able to secure a Saudi normalization deal without a Palestinian state. Now, it sounds like Mike Huckabee is really standing firm as the ambassador of America to Israel, that we're not doing a two-state solution thing.
Well, Mike Huckabee is just saying some great stuff. And by the way, he's one of the few in that realm that have an actual theological degree. He has a background as a pastor, Baptist pastor. So he obviously understands what God says, about the land of Israel. I liked when he said, if you want to, if Macron wants a Palestinian state, then let's go build it in France, put up or shut up, so to speak. But it is very encouraging to see him, standing there. And that article there is a big deal prophetically because Sheba and Dedan, the Saudis, are going to complain when this Gog Magog, Ezekiel 38 and 39 invasion happens. And we've often wondered why the Saudis are going to complain. Well, we're starting to get an explanation for that. They're in a normalization agreement with Israel. And so the only thing that's really holding that up is they keep demanding a Palestinian state within the borders of Israel. And here comes Netanyahu saying, you know what, we can do normalization without a Palestinian state. So I think this is just more evidence that we're being fast-tracked into Gog Magog, where the different encumbrances, hurdles, obstacles on the Saudis normalizing with Israel, such as conditioning it on a Palestinian state, those hurdles are being taken away.
Mm-hmm. You and I, of course, been saying consistently for years, before we even knew each other, we were in our own broadcast and writings, stating that we both believe in a Eurocentric world government that would be based in Babylon, 58 miles south of Baghdad. Here's an article from Market Watch. This is a secular website, right? Economic secular website. A new world order is redirecting capital from the U.S. toward Europe, says former Goldman Sachs commodity chief. Isn't that interesting? We're going to go toward a Eurocentric world order. There's the word, new world order, Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the date on that is fairly new, if I remember right.
Yeah, June 20th, 2025. Yeah,
fairly new. We're hot off the press, I would say. Mm-hmm. And that's dealing with an expert within Goldman Sachs, someone that understands economics, money, capital. Mm-hmm. And basically the point of the article is we've got a lot of theater here in America, but America is not the center of the action. The capital of the world is being transferred to Europe, and that fits our understanding of Bible prophecy perfectly. As you said, it mentions New World Order there, because the feet of the statue in Daniel 2 are connected to the legs. You know, I know that's deeply profound, right? The feet are connected to the legs, but the legs would represent historic Rome, the Eastern and Western divisions, and the feet, future Antichrist empire, being so connected indicates that the Antichrist empire is going to grow out of the cultural inheritance of ancient Rome. And that fits very nicely with all these things we've been reading out of the UK, where they're taking people's free speech rights and just throwing them down the toilet.
Yep, hold right there. Be right back with more. Dr. Andy Woods, don't go away. And by the way, Crosstalk's coming up with Jim Schneider.
Nature has a rhythm, a quiet strength, a way of restoring, protecting, and renewing us. Wellness isn't just about how you feel today. It's the quiet choices you make for tomorrow. At myvitamin.com/worldview, we've made daily self-care simple. Quality vitamins, daily supplements, and targeted nutrition. myvitamin.com/worldview makes it easy. Pure ingredients thoughtfully combined, tailored for your body. Formulated by a doctor who has over 25 years of medical practice experience and is a certified functional medicine provider. Visit myvitamin.com/worldview today and take the next step towards strength, balance, and resilience. Discover the wide range of med packs made for you and your loved ones. What you nurture today becomes the strength you walk in tomorrow.
All right, welcome back. Someone said it's really nice to see the more humane side of Brannon House. Is that what someone said? The more humane side. Okay, I think they meant that well. I think they had good intentions. Versus the inhumane side. That's what I do every day on TV and radio, is the inhumane side. But hey, I think they meant, I'm going to take it as a compliment. I think they meant the human side. I think that's what they meant. All right, there you go. Dr. Woods, this is a startling headline here. 6 Americans detained in South Korea for trying to send rice and Bibles to North Korea by sea. Now, you have to read that headline twice because you're like, wait a minute. Did North Korea arrest them or did South Korea? Well, it says South Korea. Now, why? Well, we know this because we've been interviewing regularly another guy that'll be a keynote speaker at our fall conference, Gordon Chang. And Gordon Chang's been telling us for about a year that the communists are quickly taking over South Korea, the communists. So, Dr. Woods, when you got 6 Americans being arrested because they're trying to give rice and Bibles to North Korea by sea, well, that tells you right there that's one of many signals we got a big problem in South Korea. It looks like South Korea is eventually going to be taken over by North Korea, Dr. Woods.
Well, yeah, and also all these people that don't think the Bible is an authoritative word from God, why are the communists doing this? They obviously think it is an authoritative word from God. And I can't think of anything as innocent as putting biblical truth in a bottle, setting it adrift with the hopes that somebody in some communist country would hear the gospel. I can't think of anything more harmless, innocuous, altruistic than that. Yet this red-green axis, this Islamo-Marxist axis that we talk about, hate the Bible so much that they want to take the people that did this, 6 Americans, by the way. I don't know of any news outlet that's reporting on this. 6 Americans, and we want to throw them in jail for it. It's just unbelievable. And it shows you the hatred that the red-green axis has towards what we believe in. And, you might not think the Bible is true, but these people evidently do. And they're going into, hyperdrive to prevent it from penetrating a culture.
You bring up a very good point. If the Bible isn't true, why is Satan so busy attacking it, right? Why would he waste his time? If the Bible isn't true, why do his servants spend so much time attacking it? If Bible prophecy isn't important, why do Satan's ministers spend so much time attacking it? Dr. Woods?
Well, it's a great question. I don't know if there is an answer to it. I mean, in how many countries of the world is the Bible illegalized? I'm sure we could get an answer to that, but I would think in most countries of the world, it's either, heavily marginalized, if not illegalized. I mean, goodness gracious, here in the home of the free and land of the free, home of the brave, we threw it out of the public schools in 1963. Why do that if the Bible is just like Mark Twain or Star Wars or something that's just a bunch of fables?
Yep. Dr. Woods, I did a whole program. I don't know if it's online yet, Logan. About to be. Yesterday I did a whole hour here, and then for TV I did it because I wanted to really get it out there. Because I was talking to one of my conservative friends in Washington, D.C., very conservative friend, and he's a Christian. And we were talking about many things, including Israel. He brought up Israel, and he first wanted to say, now look, I know, House, you're very committed to the Israeli government. I said, well, wait a minute, slow down there. I am not politically, economically, or governmentally tied to the Israeli government. I said, my commitment to the Jewish people is spiritual, not political, not economic, not governmental. And I went into great detail in the scriptures last night about this. But I think a lot of people, the average even Christian in America doesn't understand what we're doing. They think, some people think we've been paid. We've been paid. I'm like, I'm not being paid. But I think it's very important for us to explain to this. It's not governmental. It's not economic. It's not political. It's spiritual. It's a spiritual assault. It's a spiritual attack on the Jews. It's satanic to try to wipe them out because we know it's going to try to stop God's kingdom. And we know many of them are going to come to Yeshua or Messiah. And so I think this is a very important message, but I don't think most of the Christians in America even think about these issues because, again, it has become taboo to talk about Bible prophecy in most of our churches in America. Amen?
Yeah, it's the new definition of anti-Semitism. You can be against Israel, but you can be for the Jews. When in reality, that's crazy because where did the Jews flee to escape persecution? They fled to the homeland of Israel. So once we understand that, that makes me a Zionist. I'm not saying, and people get very confused on this, that I'm agreeing with every little ruling that comes out of the nation of Israel. That's not what being a Zionist means. I mean, God didn't agree with everything Israel did either. Just read your Old Testament and you'll see that. But a Zionist is basically someone who believes that Israel has the political right to be in that land, going back to the San Remo Accords post-World War I, going back to the United Nations partition, 1947, post-World War II. And there's no argument that one can make that Israel is doing something illegal. And even beyond that, a Zionist is someone who believes that Israel has a theological right to be there because God gave that land to the physical descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So if that's what a Zionist is, I'm a Zionist, and I support Israel's right to exist. And I don't like it when I see all these people chanting from the river to the sea, the land of Palestine will be free. I don't like it when I see all these charters with Hamas and surrounding Islamic countries, 22 of them, Israel only about the size of New Jersey, threatening to drive Israel into the Mediterranean Sea. I'm not on board with that because I'm a Zionist, and I'm there politically and I'm there biblically.
Well said. All right. Be sure to stay tuned, folks, for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider on that's America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s. If you're on this network, on the terrestrial station, stay right where you're at. You can also pick it up at vcy.org. V is in Victor, vcy.org. And Dr. Woods, his website is andywoodsministries.org, andywoodsministries.org. Dr. Woods, thanks for being with us. Hold right there if you would, please, Dr. Woods. I'll be back Sunday night, Lord willing, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, as I continue my study through the book of Revelation. I hope to finish up Revelation chapter 17 on Sunday night. Hope you'll join us at Worldview Tube. Take care. And Dr. Woods is back. Dr. Woods, Texas state government gives $13 million to Islamic mosques and community groups. Officials of the grantee organization include open advocates of Hamas and the Iranian regime. Texas, I hate to say, is gone. You live in the state of Texas. They've targeted your state, and your state's losing. But I can't. I have to be humble about it because I hear the next state they're targeting after you is Tennessee. So Texas has fallen. I don't think there's any coming back, and they're targeting Tennessee next. Dr. Woods?
Well, that article, I think that comes from the month of June, is just, I went through that on my podcast that got released this morning. It's just a horrifying article because it documents how much there you go. That's a key.
All the money. Clear Lake Islamic Center, $86,000. Imam Academy, $306,000. I mean, you just go through here. You know what, Dr. Woods, I can't figure out, I mean, it's a rhetorical statement. I'm being sarcastic. I can't figure out why the Marxist, globalist, Islamic, anti-immigrant groups all get government money, but we never get any government money. PBS gets $500 million a year. We don't get any government money. The Islamic groups get Islamic money. What I get is harassed by the IRS. Huh, interesting.
Well, where is Barry Lynn when you need him? Americans United for Separation of Church and State. I thought, I see. That only applies to Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson and people like that. Doesn't apply to Muslims. But anyway, that article, if people would get that and download it, is just horrifying because it not only shows you the money trail coming from public monies into all these pro-Islamic enclaves, but it goes through websites and speeches of all of these things that these beneficiaries are saying. And they're calling for the overthrow of America. They're calling for the overthrow of Israel. They're acknowledging solidarity with the Ayatollah. They're advocating for putting these, Sharia-compliant masks on 7-year-old girls. It's just sick what is being advocated all in the name of giving all of these people money. I don't know why they're getting money. I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know where our Republican-led leadership of this state is on this. How come they're AWOL? How come nobody ever talks about it? Where's Ted Cruz on this? Where's Ken Paxton on this? Where's John Cornyn on this? Where's Governor Abbott on this? Why is there just this
Governor
deafening
Abbott's too busy doing football analogies and saying only losers question a loss. When his administration, his state, didn't go about the proper process for alerting people about a deadly flood when it was put out at 1 p.m. the day before by the National Weather Service, and when it didn't work to blame it as his authorities in his state, tried blaming it on the National Weather Service. When that came out and couldn't be proven, they couldn't take responsibility like a man, because I think we all know, with the brain, that Governor Abbott is basically a World Economic Forum puppet. That's my opinion, based on what I've seen. He is a man full of hot air. He tweeted all about how he's going to do something about the Islamists taking over his state. He's done nothing. They're getting $13 million. So instead of being a man and saying, yeah, we messed up as a state, now people are dead, he wanted to criticize anyone and say only losers talk like that and ask questions like that. That's what you got running your state, is a total loser. That's my opinion, not yours. You live in the state, so maybe you don't want to say that, but I do. Greg Abbott, he's just disgusting. He's typical rhino.
Yeah. Well, if I were him, what I would have said is, I thought it was climate change's fault. I thought we were blaming everything on climate change. That would be an easy, and it has to be the easy end run around it for him. But let's there's plenty of blame to go around. It's the Trump administration that called off the dogs related to investigating that Epic Center. I read that came out from Texas Scorecard. So why did they do that? Why did they stop investigating Epic?
Because I'll tell you why. They need the Abraham Accords to get what they're wanting, a peace deal, Dr. Woods.
Well, they're selling us down the river. We elect all these conservative people to do something about this, and they're letting us down at the state level, at the federal level. Even though, if you know me, I've been pretty bullish on the Trump administration, but this is really disappointing. And Abbott, I don't understand where all this money comes from into these Islamic enclaves, and why our
the truth? Yeah, where's it all
red state doesn't do something about it.
Yep. AndyWoodsMinistries.org. Thank you, Dr. Woods. Us, make sure you support us. WorldviewFoundation.com. Take care.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the national security team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan, and served as the Vice Commander of American